Welcome back to the Rebuilt Parish Podcast. On today's episode, we've got Father Joel Wilson, pastor at Our Lady of Perpetual Help in Maple Shade, New Jersey. Father Joel's been in coaching for about 5 years, and I'm excited for you to hear his story. He went into his parish and really took a look at what was going on, worked with his team to make some decisions, and made an incredible strategic plan, and they're already seeing results. Join us inside the episode to hear more. Well, hey there, Father Joel. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Melissa. Happy to be here.
Well, this is exciting because you've been with Rebuilt for a long time, and I'm excited that we get to hear your story and that you're going to be sharing it with others today. So thank you.
Now, we've been in Rebuilt coaching for about 5 years now.
It's wild. I know that does seem like a while, like almost from the beginning, which is so cool. So, Father Joel, to begin, could you just share a little bit about yourself and your parish, Our Lady of Perpetual Help, and what makes your parish unique, and maybe also what you love most about serving there?
Yeah, good question. So I've been a priest 16 years. I was ordained in 2009, and I came here in 2018. This is my first pastorate, and coming up in July, I'll be here 8 years. So coming up on almost like half of my priesthood spent here in Maple Shade, New Jersey, with the good people of OLPH. Our parish is very lively because we want to do things ourselves. We have like a little gardening club, and the people come and they do their own landscaping. Some communities wouldn't think of doing that and want to pay somebody to do all that stuff, but we have like a real kind of can-do, roll up the sleeves folk among our people, and that's one of the things that I really like about serving here. One of the things that makes our parish unique. They want to be involved. They want to serve. They want to help out. And pitch in. When I started here, in 2018, that can-do attitude was really focused on our school and keeping the school open, keeping it going. I remember a couple conversations I had. It was like, Father, let me tell you how it is here at OLPH. Like, we need to keep the school. That was the number one ticket, which was a challenge. And we were struggling, and we had been struggling since about the year 2000 to, pay all of our bills and keep ourselves current and being in a healthy spot fiscally. So we decided in 2020, right before the pandemic, 2019, we decided that was going to be the last year for our school. And that was hard. But that's really a big part of our parish story, because we have so many times people say, I went to the school and I remember the Sisters of St. Joseph and that classroom, and people are just very, very fond to have a lot of memories, a lot of like community and solidarity, like in the activity of going to the school and all the school things, So when we closed the school, that kind of created a hole, but also like an opening, like a space for new life and new ground to be tilled and to be worked. So we started a pastoral council. We developed a mission statement and vision statement and started to kind of move things towards things that we had forgotten because we were really focused on our school community at the time. Yeah. We're also very welcoming. So like starting hospitality ministry here was easy. People like to do that. Almost, you got to encourage them sometimes. Like, we do want our sacred space to be a place of reverence and prayer, because people will be sharing about what happened this week or that kind of thing. So yeah, that's what I love about our parish and a little bit of the history.
Well, that's so helpful to hear. I love one of the things that you shared, that they're a can-do kind of crew. I mean, I remember looking at our parish's landscaping bill thinking, why are we spending so much money on somebody else to come and do this. And it sounds like your parish is just already on top of that, just not letting other people do it, not paying, but just getting right in there and making that one of their ministries, keeping the grounds beautiful. And I think that just kind of shows what kind of people that you have. And I also want to acknowledge how courageous and difficult that had to be, making those decisions to close the school, because especially when there are so many people who are so nostalgic about the school and have so many opinions about the school too.
Yeah.
So,
true enough.
Father Joel, when you arrived at OLPH, what were some of the early signs, both from what you observed and maybe what some of those numbers or metrics showed, that helped you to understand the parish's strengths and challenges?
Well, the early numbers and early metrics and our early focus was on the school. And the diocese, like probably many dioceses have, manuals, parish manuals, and they give you these kind of barometer metrics on what a healthy school looks like in a bigger parish environment, that the school is taking a certain percent of parish funds from operating costs to help support it. It's called like the parish subsidy to the school, that there's enough kids in the classrooms that are, with tuition and things like that. So those were the metrics that we were focused on. And shortly after I got here, we were having conversations with folks in the diocese about how, it looked like there were some signs, that indicators that the metrics that we needed to attend to those things. So you might call them red flags or yellow flags, that see these things, these are not how we would hope that they would be. So that helped me understand more the challenges than the strengths. Like, for example, we had about 160 kids in the school from about 100 households, 100 families in the school. And, looking around, we noticed that maybe only like 25 families or so were like regular participants in weekend worship, or were really involved in PTA, which was part of like fundraising for the school and all that stuff. So it helped me understand that, like, well, in a parish of 1,800 households, like being so devoted and having so much resources and time and talents, like all of the resources, devoted to such a small percentage of our overall population, just didn't seem just in a way, to have that much commitment and devotion to such a small slice of our overall parish family.
Wow. And I know you had shared with me before that some of the challenges you were facing too were finances in the parish as well. Could you maybe speak a little bit into that?
Yeah, sure. So, I don't know if I'm supposed to brag about this, but we have the unique distinction of being the parish in the most debt in our whole diocese. Among 97 parishes, we are number one in debt. And yeah, so right, I know, as you can laugh about it, it's good to chuckle a little bit, but
it's good to make light of it, right? Because you've got a plan.
We slowly dug our hole by not be able to meet our obligations, like year after year, trying to keep the school open. And so when I arrived, we were close to $5 million, over 4, but not yet to $5 million in unpaid bills to the diocese. Yeah.
Okay. So this really played a role in some of those decisions, like closing the school and then helping to make your current strategic plan, right?
It did. Yeah. Like one of the main goals of the strategic plan is securing the future, which has some like fiscal pieces to it, but also like some campus pieces to it. And then some like engagement. Like the third part of that is like about getting our people engaged and communicating well and kind of sharing the mission and the vision and telling the story.
Hi, I'm Maria Politano from Rebuilt Parish. If you're longing to see real renewal in your parish, but you're not sure where to begin, you don't have to walk that path alone. Through Rebuilt Coaching, your parish is paired with 2 dedicated partner coaches who walk alongside you, encourage you, and help you to stay focused on what matters most, making disciples and strengthening your parish culture. We guide you through the Rebuilt anchors with a clear course and coaching rhythm that gives you structure, support, and practical steps you can take right away. If you're ready for clarity, direction, and a team committed to your parish's growth, learn more about Rebuilt Coaching at rebuiltparish.com/coaching.
Okay, well, Father Joel, I appreciate your authenticity because I think there are parishes out there who are in debt who are barely just paying the bills. And so hearing that there's other people out there that are facing this and are taking it head on and being proactive and making a plan, I think you can really help some of these parishes out there that are struggling. So thank you for sharing all of that.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, if anybody can learn anything from what I've been through and, and kind of a little bit of wisdom, I'm happy to share.
Well, thank you. So now, before we talk strategy, can you walk us through how your team collects that parish data and maybe share how often you look at it or what tools or rhythms or habits help keep that information flowing?
Yeah. So our parish data, we really began collecting in the pandemic with like a lot of parishes. Once we were able to open up, we were able to collect like weekly attendance and count people. So that was a big part of our data collection, and we just kept counting people every weekend. So now we have, close to 5 years of weekly attendance data. We also, everybody, you have to count the money, and then you have to enter it every week. So we count the collections, and so we can look at the year over year attendance numbers and stuff. Some tools that we started to use as a result really of the pandemic were, we started to communicate via Flocknote, which we didn't have before. And so Flocknote is like a third party service, but it tells you how many people open your message, what the engagement level is. That's a great tool. You can also very easily do little surveys on there and get people's feedback on stuff. So it's a good way to connect with your people. And then, like so many parishes, we started to live stream and like kind of bring the front door of our church like into the webosphere. I want to be honest, the data there is just hard to know what you're looking at. I mean, every week we get a report from the company that hosts our streaming, and, it goes up and down. I guess it's good maybe at this moment to, talk about when you can't make sense of the data, how do you decide? Like one of the things that we've kept doing is we've kept our daily live stream going even now. And I know a lot of parishes have stopped doing that, or maybe they just do one on the weekend. It's because I heard stories from people in mostly like homebound or even folks that moved away. There's a little lady that lives down the shore now, and she still watches all of our masses, and she still sends her envelopes all the way back here. So sweet. I had one funeral for another lady who couldn't get out of her house and went to anoint her and stuff. And there she is, like telling me, like giving me like her top 10 of my homilies, like sharing with me, like, I remember that one, Father. You remember that one? And I'm like, I said that? That sounds pretty good. Yeah, that was nice. That was Holy Spirit moment. So there's like qualitative data too, that I think anecdotal stories that help round out the picture of data. And with the live streaming, right now I'm in that camp, mostly because I just can't make sense of the other data. So those are like two tools. What else did you want to talk about? You wanted to talk about rhythms. I feel like looking at it every week, and it's very noisy. Like week over week, or I think the year over year, like looking at last, like say January 2025 versus January 2026, I think that can be helpful.
Yes.
And I think maybe looking at like quarterly trends, or put a couple months together to get a sense of things. we did just compare our Christmas numbers from last year's Christmas numbers, and we were like up over 100 people, and we had adjusted the mass schedule. Instead of having 4, we went with 3.
Okay.
So it was neat to be up in people. I don't know about if we're up in collection yet, but up in people, and to have reduced like the workload of all the volunteers and ministers and musicians and all the people that like make the mass happen. So it could be a beautiful worship experience. So that was like another little win for us.
That's a huge win. 100 more souls right there, Father Joel. That's a huge win. Yeah. Be excited about that one.
I know. Yeah.
That's good. Well, first of all, we're going to talk about some other things too, but I want to just speak into the anecdotal data that you talked about, because I think it is important for parishes to remember to take that into account. Even though, like, I know looking at live stream numbers, they're tricky. How many views versus how many people watched and how many people dropped off after the homily or all of that. That's tricky to understand. But those stories, those faith stories there of the woman who moved down the shore and isn't able to make it into town every week for mass, but wants to still watch your masses at her home parish. Like, we've heard so many stories like that too, both like here in my own parish and through Rebuilt too. And it's those that just remind us, number one, live streaming is still important. And number two, that qualitative data, like we just can't put a number on how it makes people feel to be able to virtually worship in their home parish when they've got some other situation going on.
Yeah, it makes a big difference to keep that connection going. Or I've even heard people of like, they're able-bodied, regular attendees, and they might be traveling, and rather like they might even go to a mass there in order to receive the Holy Eucharist wherever they are, but then they'll like tune in, and see what's going on at their home place. But it is odd that like oftentimes most of the average watch time is like 5 minutes or 7 minutes. So you're just thinking like, how many people are really like in their living room, like, do like with all the things, stand,
right.
sit, kneel, stand, sit, kneel,
right.
stand. Like, so it's a little different. It's a little different. Yeah. But the qualitative data, like telling the stories, sharing the wins, sharing the moments of grace, understanding that like the Holy Spirit's at work in all of this, and might even work through the technology, like how like the technology kind of allows the gospel to be preached and more people to be reached. I think that's a important part to recognize too. Yeah.
That's so good. Now let's talk a little bit about your strategic plan, because I was very impressed when I looked on your website and saw your slides that you had about this strategic plan meeting. So I would just love for you to share a little bit first. How did you use metrics to help you clarify where the parish was and where the Lord might be calling you to next, as far as like that mission and vision?
Yeah. Well, like I touched on already, like when we started the pastoral council, we really just prayed about like, what's our deepest why, like the why we exist. And we set up our mission, and then we like, what do we do to fulfill our mission? And we got our vision going. And like the next thing was like, well, what's our strategy going to be in order to fulfill the mission? I don't know I don't think that metrics really played like a pivotal role in developing the strategy, but a couple people on a pastoral council have business backgrounds and have been worked in corporate and stuff. So one thing that we did was a SWOT analysis, like
yes,
which was a little bit weird, I think, like in parish life, like what are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? And then the best, like, who are our threats?
What are the
And you're like, so that was the oddest, category to speak about, but to think about like, what are our opportunities? We have, and to identify those. So to kind of get that mapped out, and that helped us to figure out, you can't move in all the directions all at the same time. You have to be strategic or intentional with the limited resources that you have in order to make the plan and follow the plan and then measure the plan and measure the success of the plan. So that's really what we did in order to get ourselves rolling with the strategic plan. Did I answer Did I answer the question?
So I'm so glad that you brought up the SWOT analysis, because I feel like we don't talk about this enough in parish life. And I'm one of those people who I was in business before I worked in parish life. And so I get so excited to talk about those. And we did one of those at our parish too. And we did it around the school too, when our school was in danger of closing. And it just, we passed it around and had others fill it out too, like just key stakeholders. And it's so interesting to see what the pastor perceived as, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats versus what a key minister was viewing, and where there was alignment and where somebody thought of something that maybe we didn't think about. So it is an interesting exercise, not always a comfortable one in church world, but one that really can help guide that strategic plan.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Now, you mentioned that some of that data that you've been looking at was like attendance. You're looking at some giving and growth. You shared about the 100 more people at Christmas masses. What are some of those other patterns that are showing the momentum you've built in your parish?
Oh, yeah, no, that's great. So, yeah, we have started to keep track of new households, and then reach out to them and have like a new member meet and greet periodically. So we've about 40 households each of the past years that we started to do that. I definitely think that we have some room for growth in terms of like getting them engaged and kind of getting them connected earlier, or like more promptly in their journey here in parish life. The other piece with Given is, since we've been preaching according to with the message series, is I think this was our fourth fall that we had a stewardship message in focus and had commitment cards and encourage people to pray about their giving and plan their giving and become a percentage giver. Unfortunately, this year, like last year, we had about 76 households fill out that card. And this year, only about 48 or so. I think we might have a couple more, stragglers kind of coming in, because we give them from about Thanksgiving to the New Year to like turn in their card and pray over their gift and plan their gift. So it's hard to make sense of those numbers. Like, what was the preaching to blame? It's possible. Totally possible. Was it the timing? Was it like, was there bad weather on that weekend? So we were trying to identify what could have been better with that, and how to maybe for the next year, how can we get over our goal, like, beat our 76 households. And just for for context, so like 1,800 families, about 600 households will make a gift in the previous 6-month period. And then we have about like 400 very consistent like giving households, like percentage wise. So in our stewardship commitment cards, they're non-binding, but I think it just allows people to like enter into this prayerful consideration and like really make their parish gift a return to the Lord, and really make it a part of their budget. So it's like not a bill, but it's like kind of returning first fruits. And those things, I think, help people to consider their giving. So rather, like, we've definitely seen an uptick in like the number of households who are giving, say, like $50 or more a week, right? So whereas because it's an invitation to like consider you're thinking about. And I also think like inflation helped in a way, because people see that all the costs are going up, and I think they admit that like they're going up for everybody. And so it's like, well, the church needs more as well. I think that was a bit of a motivator. Yeah.
That's interesting. But Father Joel, I love how you shared that, you're teaching them how to give as an act of worship, give those first fruits. And because you're sharing it that way, they're seeing that as part of their discipleship path. And you've got more and more families that are giving that way. That's incredible.
And our online giving platform expanded in the pandemic, and it continues. We continue to receive new people switching over to that, which has the advantage of like, You kind of pray about your gift. You just determine the amount that you want to give, either weekly or monthly or whatever the frequency is that you determine. And then it's like, it's in the system and it's automatic. It's automatic. So, whether or not somebody can attend that weekend, the gift is still present, which is helpful for regular revenue.
Definitely helpful. I'm thinking about, when we get a winter storm over a weekend, you don't have to worry because those gifts are already coming in, whether people have to watch the live stream or they can make it in real life.
Yeah, and we're this current coming weekend, we're expecting snow. I know people might be listening to this at another time, and we just made some adjustments to our mass schedule. And part of the communication was like, don't forget about Givelify, don't forget about our online platform because, snow removal is, we do not have volunteer snow removal here because it's too labor intensive. So I think gardening plots are one thing, but volunteer snow removal might be is a different story.
100%. That's a little bit trickier to navigate because they've got to remove the snow from their own house before they can even make it out to you. So it makes sense to leave that to the professionals.
I'm glad you agree, Melissa.
That's one thing that we did not keep that in house. We kept that as a contract. We did not look for volunteer snow removal in our parish. We also get way too much of it to rely on volunteers. Just too much.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's talk about discipleship because this is something that, we really focus on here. So if we look at like youth, adults, and pathways for belongings, how are you seeing that this is an area that needed some renewed energy and structure?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think seeing our confirmation kids come through and have a really warm fuzzy and love confirmation and pick their saint's name and then they get confirmed and you're like, where did they go?
Yeah.
They disappeared. Somebody must have turned on the lights or something. So it's that was one of the things for we got to develop a pathway. So we've started a youth group with some a team, mostly parents who wanted to help pitch their kids and get their kids more involved in things. And it's been a definite path to discipleship and engagement. We've also seen that we've tried with wins and still some room for growth for sure to have our confirmation people if maybe you want to be a lector, maybe you want to be a greeter and get the youth group to do some of those things. So sometimes that life youth group can kind of float away from the Sunday experience as its own thing. So try to weave people into that. With young adults, we've recently collaborated with a group of parishes in the area to host some young adult events. We've been seeing more young adults coming back to church and getting involved in church and getting on board with what we do. And so we're kind of trying to connect them to the young adults in the area and then different parishes can host different events and people can, that age group is more mobile and they can kind of go here and there and go to a theology on tap or we had something in the fall. We prayed a rosary in our little garden and then we went down the street and had a beer at the local brewery we have a little micro brewery 3-minute walk. So that was cool as well.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're kind of creating that place, that environment for the young adults and the kids to hang out and have not just a safe place to go, but a place where they feel welcomed and like they belong.
Yeah, I think, sometimes people talk about what's the third place or the third space in people's lives. And there was a time in the Catholic Church when CYO was huge and so many people went to Catholic school. And then you hear how many stories of I met my high school sweetheart at the CYO dance and we got married and lived happily ever after, the end, So, today the third space or the third place is oftentimes like the gym or the ball field or, not usually church. And so I think growing opportunities that are not just worship, but that lead to worship and that have a mission, are tapped into our mission, I think is an important experience because it kind of creates some on-ramps for discipleship.
When leadership is healthy, mission moves forward. When it's unclear or disconnected, everything stalls. That's why we created the Rebuilt Leadership Self-Evaluation, a simple, powerful tool to help your parish pause, reflect, and realign around what matters most. Inside, you'll walk through core questions about your mission, the clarity of your team, and the metrics you use to know whether you're actually accomplishing the work God entrusted to you. You'll name what's working, identify the gaps, and begin shaping practical next steps. Quick wins, long-term priorities, and the big rocks that will strengthen your parish leadership from the inside out. If you're ready for more focus, healthier teams, and leadership rooted in mission, download the Leadership Self-Evaluation today at rebuiltparish.com/leadership evaluation. I think that's so good. And I love that, you shared, the culture has kind of shifted. It's kind of changed. It once upon a time we had CYO. I mean, I think the only thing we have right now is CYO basketball. And I don't even think all the kids on our team are even Catholic. I don't even know if they talk about God there. Right. But it's that those don't exist as much anymore. So the fact that you've created a space where they can have their third place where, they feel just as comfortable coming to church and then going and having pints with a priest or whatever it is. I mean, I think that it's a great idea. So that way your young adults are feeling connected to the church again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, just to be clear, we're not promoting pints with the priest for high school and middle school kids. This is strictly for the young adults over the age of 21. Just want to put that out there.
I appreciate the distinction. I appreciate the distinction, Melissa. Yes, we definitely, yes.
All right, well,
Youth group loves walking taco. That's always a fan favorite.
That's
Tacos
a fun one.
in a bag. Yeah.
That is a fun one. Now, we know that when we make a strategic plan, there's choices we have to make about what to start, stop, or continue. So how did you decide what ministries or initiatives to grow and maybe which ones to reimagine?
Yeah. We created a big long list of all the things we were doing. And that was a project in and of itself.
Yes.
And then we went through it and we're like, okay, how does this fulfill the mission? We didn't measure how much resources it took, but we kind of tried to rate certain things are easy to pull off while other things require like a whole team of people to get it going. So we did have a keep, start, stop list, or we had a pause. We had a pause button that we were able to, which feels it's easier to hit pause than stop, right? So
I like that idea. Okay.
Feels a little bit just like a temporary, let's see how this goes. So one example is how should I roll this out? So I guess it goes back to our PTA days when we were raising funds for the school and we had a trunk or treat. And then the pandemic hit and we wanted to get people onto campus and we wanted to have them do something fun. And then we used to do this trunk or treat. Let's do this trunk or treat. And it grew to like Halloween Town and there were food trucks. And in order to trunk or treat, you had to bring like a can of food to give to the local food bank. And so there were some good connections there in the moment, but it was at night. It was after later in the evening. And it was really hard people are wearing masks and they're in costumes and it was really hard to chat with anybody or connect with people. And, some the kids just want the candy. I mean, let's be honest, right? So they're just coming with their bag and trick or treat, give me my candy, So we decided that we could use the word reimagine. We decided we could hit pause on that and look to put our efforts and our resources. It's mostly, that was mostly like a resource of like time and talent, right? Into another direction. Yeah. Another thing that we did in our list, so we just started for the first time in the fall, what we're calling like grief small group. We've had small groups here for a while now, for maybe 4 years now, and maybe even longer, 4 or 5. But we attended the Can You Imagine Rebuilt conference in the spring, and one of the things that came out of that was a grief ministry talk about like how to do grief in different ways. And we've done a lot of funerals lately, and a lot of people have been grieving. People just knew a family member who had lost, and so we reached out, we got trained, we started this little grief small group, and it's small but growing. So far I think we had 12 or 15 people in the fall, and now we're having signups in the spring. But that feels to me like a lot richer use of maybe about the same time of people's time, measured out differently, but you have such spiritual growth among the hosts, among the people who are involved in it. And then we hope that it leads them back to worship. One of the things I heard again and again is like, Father, I'm not going to church right now because it makes me cry, because I used to sit next to my spouse. We were married for 50 years, whatever. And I don't mean whatever, like dismissing it, but just like we were married, we spent our whole life together. We sat there, and now she's not next to me or he's not next to me. And I just can't go. I just can't get it. I just can't go in. And so trying to loosen up that hard, that feeling, that grief, the loss, and trying to work through it, I think has been very impactful for the people. And definitely falls right in line with our mission and the gospel.
I think that's so
less
wise.
So than vampires and werewolves and all that.
Right. I mean, when I think to how you're making those decisions, I think it's impactful that you're looking at, okay, what's our mission? What's our mission and vision here? And aligning it around that, and aligning it around discipleship. Is a trunk or treat going to help people grow in their faith? Is it going to help with discipleship? It depends. And I love the pause button. Pause sounds a lot less scary than stop. I'm going to share that in the next small groups course, because that's something that we talk about a lot there. People are scared to stop some things to make room for small groups that really will help with discipleship. But I'm going to share, Father Joel told me about the pause button. Maybe I'll get one of those Staples easy buttons and just write pause on it and share that with them. But I think that just that little mention right there is going to help free some people up to put the pause on things, to try something that will actually help them achieve their vision and mission.
Well, I got to give full credit to Coach Jane for the pause button.
Okay.
I don't want to, what's it called when you apply? I don't want to plagiarize here, I got to give credit.
Well, we will make sure that it is known that it was Jane's idea to call it pause instead of stop. But Jane loved that idea. So now everyone here gets to hear that idea too. It's so good. Well, Father Joel, as we wrap up, for those parish leaders or other pastors who might feel intimidated about data or creating a strategic plan, what simple encouragement or starting point would you offer to help them have meaningful renewal in their parish?
Yeah, I think just begin with the question, what decisions might you have upcoming that would be, better helped by data? You can make it that question. You don't have to start with the strategic plan. I definitely think that's something further down the line. It does make me think of the biblical story. This is a funny story because we can get into the data, too much into the data. David, he's the king, and he wants to go to war, but he's not trusting in the Lord. This is the story. The lesson is you got to trust in the Lord, not in humans, not in like human, trust in the Lord, not in like the natural powers. So he has a census taken. He counts his people. And then the Lord's like, okay, because you didn't believe in me, you either get to pick. You want a 3-year famine, 3 years being chased by your enemies, something like that, or 3 days of plague. He chooses 3 days of plague. I don't know if that was the best option. And, thousands of people die in this plague. And then he has much less warriors to like fight his battle. So I think I think the lesson for me in that is like, you first trust in the Lord. Like he's the Lord and we're working for him, Right. But I do think that the data can really inform, the way we go about our ministry and like the directions, like can help us decide which doors to walk through first. Knowledge is power, and it's so good to try to make informed decisions. Maybe just echo that idea of like, there's qualitative data too, right? It's not just numbers. There's also like the stories matter too.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, Father Joel, thank you for taking the time. Thank you for sharing so authentically and sharing some of those wins that your parish has had too. We're just excited that we get to partner with you and be a part of this journey. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa, for giving me this chance to chat with you and asking such insightful questions. I appreciate even just the questions themselves have given me, more opportunity to reflect and grow as a leader here. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, of course, you're doing great things in your parish, and we're excited to see just what happens as a result of your latest strategic plan. So thank you.
All right. God bless you, Melissa.
God bless you too. And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time.